Hello and welcome, and thank you for letting me come into your home or wherever this is, and to be with you and to share with you some things from the scriptures about everyday Christian living, about the abundant life that Jesus brought into the world, about a way that's good for here and now and also helps us to live and prepare for that which is to come after we die, regardless of how we die. The important question, the most important question, is what will happen then? But this program is dealing mainly with this aspect, the here and the now. Today we come to a great, interesting, terrible, painful emotion. It's not a sin. It's called loneliness. Loneliness plagues our country. I don't know how many books have been written on the subject of loneliness. It's something that fascinates us. I remember in high school, my last year, I felt like I was the loneliest person that had ever lived. The details aren't important, but I suffered terribly, and I know what it is to be in the depths of loneliness. And so maybe that's motivated me, I don't know, but I've spent a lot of time studying on it. A lot of times looking what the Bible has to say about it, and I'm anxious to share it with you because of the answers it gave me in my life and the joy it brought to me. Right now I can identify 5 different kinds of loneliness. There is the loneliness that comes from not having people treat you kindly even when you don't deserve it. You know, it's a wonderful thing when you've got people around you that when you make a mistake, they'll still treat you decently. They still will treat you like you want to be treated. Now, I call that one agape loneliness because in the Bible, agape is the Greek word for the love that Jesus commanded. And if that love's not fulfilled in me, oh, I can be awful lonely. And then it can start growing and well, it can get into a lot of things. Well, that's one kind of loneliness. Another kind of loneliness is what we all know about, and that's not having a friend. Not having a friend to do things with, things that you enjoy doing. Not having a friend to share your joys with. Not having a friend to what? Go shopping? Fish? You name it. We all need another human interested in what we're interested in, sort of on the same wavelength, as we say, and sit down and talk to and laugh with. But there's something else about friendship. We also need a friend that when the world caves in, when the losses come, when the sorrows spread over our soul like blackness, that we can share with and cry with. That's friendship. Now, that's probably one of the worst kind of loneliness, not to have a friend. Now, in the Bible, the word there from the Greek is philia. That means delighting to be in the presence of. So if that kind of love is unfulfilled, boy, am I lonely. You ever been there? I'll bet you have. I know it. We've all experienced it. Loneliness. Well, that's 2 kinds of loneliness. There's a third kind. The loneliness when you don't have your, quote, blood relatives to count on. When you don't have a home to go to. Someone said about your real mom and your real dad, they've got to take you in. And I guess that's sort of true, isn't it? I remember when I realized my father died, I don't have a home to go to anymore. Before that, secretly, I'd always had the idea, you know, when I fail, when I don't make it, I always go home and Dad will take care of me. But then I realized it. No, there's no home to go to anymore. Now that's a kind of loneliness. In the Bible, the Greek word is storge. Blood relatives. Magnet that pulls blood relatives together. What if you don't have them? Boy, you can be lonely. It's interesting in our current termage, we talk about I am rootless. Remember all the films on roots and all of that we had a few years ago? Well, see, that's based upon this kind of loneliness. That's a real type of loneliness, and sometimes we have to deal with that and sometimes help a person to overcome it. Well, there's another kind of loneliness, and that's not having a sexual mate, not having a husband or a wife to share the joys of sexual intercourse with. And remember in the tape last year we talked about when sexuality is fulfilled in God's way, it's like Christ in the church. Song of Solomon, book of Hebrews 13:4, Ephesians 5, and many, many other verses talk about when it's fulfilled in God's way. Husband and wife, lawfully, scripturally married, how wonderful it is, how beautiful it is. It's like Christ in the church. What if you don't have it? Well, that's a kind of loneliness too. And that's a real loneliness. And then there's another kind of loneliness. Sometimes I've had people come to me as a professional counselor, and I found out their loneliness was they don't have a child. They don't have a child that's their own child. And they are very, very lonely. That's an interesting loneliness. And I wish we had time to talk more about that, but we must pick out a couple of them, so we're going to pick out the first two. Agape loneliness, friendship loneliness. We're going to talk about those two kinds of loneliness. And now we come to the greatest of all the things that we can talk about for many people. How do you overcome it? Well, we'll go to the Bible and we'll find some answers. How do you overcome it? Well, it can be done. Easy? No. No, it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of effort. You're going to have to understand some things. You're going to have to keep at it. You're going to fail a lot. But let me tell you something. If you'll keep at it and do it, it's worth it all. It may take a year to get any progress made, but it'll be worth it. You can overcome loneliness. One of the things we have to start with is that there isn't one single thing you can do and solve all your problems of loneliness. It's what we said in the first tape last year. It's the accumulation of small things that form patterns that help us overcome loneliness. There are many, many things that we have to do before we can overcome loneliness. And remember Zechariah 4:10, that beautiful scripture? Do you despise the day of small things? A lot of people do, and that's the reason they never solve their problems. You know, they want to be sensational. Doc, give me a pill, make all my troubles go away. Tell me one thing to do and I'll do it and then I'll be happy. Life's not that way. It's made up of small things. That's what Jesus taught in John the 13th chapter when he ended that great example by saying, now if you'll do these things, then you'll be happy. Verse 17. Let's break it down. It has to do, first of all, how do you think and what do you let yourself think about? Now that's very important. What do you talk about? How do you let yourself talk? How do you act? How do you react to people? How do you initiate actions with other humans? You see, this all gets into this relationship business because I am dependent on others to get rid of my loneliness, but I'm not helpless. I am not helpless. All humans need humans to some degree. Now don't take that to extreme. You'll probably always have somebody that doesn't like you. The Bible says, woe unto you if all men speak well of you. But nevertheless, the point has to remain, we do need people. People need people. Paul said in Romans 14, no man lives to himself, no man dies to himself. Humans need humans. So let's go a little deeper now. Let's see if we can come up with some of the problems we have. One thing that I've run into is when people come to me, they say, well, you know, I don't have trouble making friends, but I always end up being hurt. And they're talking about not just male-female, but they're talking about all kinds of friendship. And over the years, I've discovered that I need to ask them the question, well, what type of people do you associate with? And invariably, I find out that they associate with people that don't have Christian values. Now, I begin to listen and to think, why did these people make friends and then get hurt? And then the answer became obvious. You see, if I don't have a Christian basic value system of honesty, fair play, kindness, sexual fidelity, being true to my own mate, doing good to others, turning the other cheek, if I don't have these basic Christian values in everyday Christian living, loving other people like myself, then what am I going to do? Well, suppose you become my friend. That's fine as long as I'm getting something out of it. But what if I don't get anything out of it? I'll get rid of you. I'll throw you aside. It doesn't bother me one iota. Who do you associate with? Where do you get your friends? You need to give some thought to it. I would suggest rule number one is make your friends from people that have a basic Christian value sense and people that are committed to it. Too many people do make friends and get hurt. You see, if I'm not committed unto God, I am my own God. And I'm in it just as long as it's profitable for me. And when it ceases to be, I don't need you. I'll get rid of you. And that's the way this old world lives too many times. We've heard the expression, dog eat dog. And I found out this is so true in what we're talking about. So make your friends the people who are committed to Christianity. Now I want to go a little bit deeper right here. Even when you make your friends the people that are committed to Christianity, you need to follow through with what I've already said. There are some people that are committed to the theological doctrine of God and Christ, but they're not committed to living it in relationship with other humans. Watch out. Watch out. They will use you and throw you away also. I'm going to say it again. Make your friends the people that are committed to the second commandment as well as the first. To love your friend, to love your neighbor, to love other humans as you love yourself. That's the best way to summarize that. If you don't, you will be hurt. You can bank on it. It's a guarantee. Because you see, I am selfish and you are selfish. And if we don't turn to Christ to overcome that, selfishness will win out. So that's rule number one then. Make sure that you pick your friends, that you get involved, that you associate mainly with people that are committed to the Christian values. Don't get too involved with people that aren't. There's a point here that I want to also mention because I've run into it many times in husband and wife relationship. I don't know how many times I've had a husband or a wife say this to me. Well, when I was going with her, I knew that she wasn't this type of person. However, she loved me so much that I knew if I would just be the right kind of person to love, she would always do right. That's false. It doesn't make any difference how desirable a person you are. Sooner or later, they'll get rid of you. We operate according to our basic value system, not how attractive the other person is. That will never keep a marriage together. I don't care if you look like who's the most attractive man in the world or who's the most attractive woman in the world today. You name them, whatever's on your mind, you can look like that. And if you're married to somebody that doesn't have the basic Christian value system, they'll get rid of you after a while. That's just the way we are. Rule number one then, where are you going to pick your friends from? Who are you going to associate with? Think it through and give a lot of thought to it. All right, now what are you going to do? Suppose that you're going to then try and pick people of the right type, basic Christian value system, that you can bank on them, you can depend on them, that they are determined to be Christ-like. Now what are you going to do? Well, let's call your attention to many things the Bible teaches. I'm going to break it down two different ways. I'm going to talk first about nonverbal communication, then we're going to talk about verbal communication. Now, the word nonverbal communication is a fascinating term to use. Research people tell us that 93 to 94% of all communication between humans, 93 to 94% is nonverbal. Only 6 to 7% is the meaning of the word that you utter. Do you know the Bible upholds that? Stay with me and I think you'll come to the same conclusion. First, let's define it. What do we mean? Nonverbal communication, what's that business? It's the meaning that's communicated, conveyed without words, maybe with words, or maybe in addition to words. That's what we mean by nonverbal communication. Now you know it and I know it. Suppose a person says to you, I love you, but they don't look at you when they say that. Do you believe them? Nope. You don't believe them. Why? Because the nonverbal communication of refusing to look at a person when you say I love you convinces you they don't love me. Now you may have mistaken, maybe it's shyness. But first of all, we'll probably say, you don't love me. You ever come into the house and your husband or wife reading the newspaper and they say, I love you, and you respond without moving the newspaper, I love you. What if they take the newspaper down and look at you and say, I love you? You beginning to understand what I'm talking about? Yeah, I think you are. Nonverbal communication. We must communicate both ways, but I want you to think about this. It's never recorded in the Bible where Jesus ever said to anybody, I love you. Not one time. But he's the greatest example of love the world has ever known. Why? Because of his actions. Because of his actions. Words speak louder than actions? No, no, no. We all know the correct way to state that, don't we? Actions speak louder than our words. Now let's share some things. Basic scripture, golden rule. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Did you catch it? Do. Act. Let me ask you a question. When an individual first sees you or sees me, what do they see? Do they see a smiling face? Do they see a pleasant expression? In the King James translation in Proverbs 18:24 it says, to have friends you must show yourself friendly. You can't improve on that. You must show yourself friendly. How do you feel if you see a person and they frown? Have you ever gone into a restaurant or a fast food place or something like that and walk up at the counter and the person sees you but they won't look at you? And they're frowning? I feel like leaving. I don't know about you. Husband and wives, when you get up in the morning, even though it's hard, can you look pleasant? You can if you want to. You can. if you want to. It's a small thing. By itself, it's not going to solve the problem of loneliness, but it's one of the ingredients that starts adding up, and if you add enough of them up, you overcome your loneliness. You know, in Proverbs 15:13, it talks about a joyful heart makes a cheerful face. And you know this is true. If I act the way I'm supposed to act, after a while I start feeling that way. Sometimes I get up, I don't want to go to the university and teach, but I'll go, and I'll force myself. And you know what? By 9 or 10 o'clock, I'm usually feeling better. But what if I said, I'm not going to go? I'm going to stay right here. And so I stay right there, and by 10 o'clock, I'm probably ready to crawl under the bed. You control it. Do it. Accumulation of small things that form patterns. In Psalms 18:27, Psalms 101, verse 5, and a host of Scripture, it speaks about high, proud looks and their sin. We had a lesson, 3 or 4 times ago on pride. It is sin. See, you can sin non-verbally. Are you beginning to understand the Bible upholds this? The Bible talks about non-verbal communication. The Bible's full of it. Let's continue on. We looked at Proverbs 6, 17, 21, 24. Let's go to Matthew 6:16. Here it speaks about some people who put on a gloomy face. Oh boy. You ever known people like that? That if you see, especially if you're a preacher, if they see you, they put on this horrible face. Oh, I'm hurting. And immediately I say, uh-oh, here it comes. I'm going to have to take an hour with this person. They put on a gloomy face. What kind of a face do you put on? I'm not talking about makeup. I'm talking about inside. Do you put on a gloomy face? You can put on a smiling face if you want to. If you put on a gloomy face and you make it a habit, people don't want to be around you, and you're building up toward loneliness. I know. I know. I've experienced it. There's interesting scripture in Psalms 10 and 4. It speaks about haughtiness of countenance. Some people say countenance means the total communication of your face. Some say countenance means the total communication of your whole body, from your feet, your toes, to the top of your head. Well, whichever it is, we know how that is. A person can be haughty in countenance. I had one person say to me, she walks like she's the only person God ever made. I think she was given the wrong impression. A haughtiness of countenance. What do you communicate? Do you think that'll build up for having friends? Or will it destroy it? It'll destroy it. Let's look again. In Daniel 8:23, it speaks of people that have a fierce, insolent countenance. Now that's interesting to me. And I've experienced this. I remember a faculty meeting that I sat in a university. And the president was trying to communicate something, and there were some people who were really angry. And they acted in a way that I could not believe, but I have never seen such insolence. I remember one of them sat there, whenever the president would say something, they'd say, they'd turn to each other and go, oh boy, oh. Just make a noise. Everybody around them saw it. Insolent. I don't want to be around a person like that. I don't think you do either. Fierce, insolent countenance. That's nonverbal communication. Don't have to say a word. The way you act. Well, let's go a little deeper. As you talk, what is communicated beside the meaning of the word that you're saying? Look at Proverbs 15:1. A soft or a gentle answer turns away wrath, but harsh words stir up anger. You know that's true, and I know it's true. As husband and wife, you know, one of them maybe gets upset and says something a little bit harsh, like, well, it's not a good day today. And the other one says, are you going to work today? Harsh words. And it just starts building. A gentle answer stops it. You believe it? I challenge you to try it. A gentle answer, a soft answer, turns away wrath, turns away anger, but harsh words stir it up. Boy, the Bible is so accurate, isn't it? Here, this was written thousands of years ago, but so true for right now. Look at Romans 16:18, or Jude 16. Let's take it first. It speaks of some people who are grumblers and fault finders, who speak arrogantly, flattering people for the sake of gaining an advantage. Has anyone ever taken advantage of you? Well, we call it a snow job. You know it's true. After a while, by their nonverbal communication, you begin to sense, they don't mean it. They're just saying it to get something from me. They're doing it to get an advantage. Do you like it? Are those people your friends? You going to be a friend to them? No way. Nonverbal communication. Now what we're doing today is introducing it. We're going to have a second program on this. We're coming to the close of this one. Loneliness. Boy, it's a plague of our times. It's horrible. There are people out there, maybe you're one of them, rub shoulders with hundreds of people every day, and so lonely you could die. Doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. God has an answer. Hope you'll be listening next week as we continue. We appreciate you listening. Let us hear from you. Thank you.